Hello and welcome everyone, this is Type V3 and my addiction to no bounds. So today is all about the Revoltech Jehuty along with this vector cannon. And yes, this set looks absolutely marvelous. But I'm sensing that some of you are getting a slight feeling of deja vu. Well, that's simply because the base robot is just a repaint of the original Revoltech Jehuty in a color scheme that's more accurate to the Zone of the Ender sequel, the second runner. The blue and orange have been replaced by a slate gray and gold, the white blade has been given a slight silvery shimmer, and even the booster effect parts have a more purple tint to them. This model replaces the glossy finish for a more matte metallic look, but this also means that the Revoltech joints do look slightly cheaper. The only design trait consistent between the two of them are the aqua green highlights. All of these changes do give the figure an entirely different look, however, I wouldn't go as far as to say that it's better. While I certainly prefer the newer look, I wouldn't question anyone who carried the opposing opinion. As for accessories, well, unsurprisingly, he's essentially got all the same stuff. 3 pairs of hands, a special hand to hold his Revoltech box, an extended blade piece, extra double Revoltech joints, and those tiny heel spurs that barely give him the ability to stand without the display stand. Now those with keen eyesight will notice something is missing, the enemy radar ring. That's right, this release does not have one included, and it's a real shame since that was the one item I went head over heels for with the original figure. All is not lost though, because in place of the orange disc, this Jehuty comes with something a little bit bigger. Painted in an identical color scheme to Jehuty, the Vector Cannon is a large piece of kit. It's beautifully sculpted and contains many intricate details. There's probably more plastic here than in the base figure itself. It even has a specialized, shortened version of the display stand to keep it erect. Now, even though it's large, there's no real movable parts here, so at best it functions as a statue. However, it does have one trick. Utilizing the lever on the rear end, you can raise and lower the cannons for loading in the Jehuty figure. It's neat, but nothing mind-blowing. Also, a special set of hands has been included that can be attached to the controls of the vector cannon. Now, this special hand also comes with its own little peg, and that means that it doesn't have any articulation with it, so when you replace them, he's essentially unposable in his wrist. The other thing, too, is that for this vector cannon attachment, he comes with 2 extra Revoltech joints that are used to replace his elbow and his shoulder. The elbow one is kind of like a regular Revoltech joint, only it has no click in it. So it's actually more of a traditional joint, unlike the one here where you gotta click it to move it. And for the shoulder, this is more like it spins. There is no jointage, it just spins around. So unlike this clicky one here, it's supposed to hold I guess, solid place like this here and just spin up and down. And then of course the elbow. I guess it's just to give a more fluid motion with the vector cannon attachment, but it's interesting that they kind of realized the whole Revoltech finickiness of their joints and added these two just for the sake of the vector cannon. Getting Jehuty into the vector cannon isn't quite as easy as you might imagine. First, you must remove his boosters and the weapon on the rear of his waist. From there, you disassemble the boosters and reattach only the top section to the vector cannon itself. Finally, you can place Jehuty on the seat and plug in the back pegs along with the hands. Pull the lever and you're complete. Without a doubt, this is one seriously mean-looking combination. I love how the color and the placement of Jehuty makes it look like he's a part of the weapon rather than just wielding it. But the look isn't finished. The vector cannon's final attachment are the 5 cannon arrays. With these pieces, our Jehuty and vector cannon is fully assembled. Unfortunately, as awesome as this is, the combined set does have its limitations. Due to the overwhelming size, in addition to the Revoltech's pathetic display stands, the set is incredibly unstable and must rely on Jehuty's feet to keep it balanced. This also means that Jehuty will always be in a seated position and thus removes a lot of posing options. You can raise the cannons and play around with his arms, but I struggled to make anything that looked cool. Then again, if I had a huge cannon strapped to my body, why would I even bother swinging a sword? All in all, Revoltech Jehuty and Vector Cannon is a great set, but it does provoke some interesting thoughts. For a company that prides themselves on their revolver joint technology, this release seems to go out of its way to abandon it. Replacing the revolver joints in the arms for something more traditional was hugely surprising, and the Vector Cannon itself shows no signs of the technology on it. It's almost as if Kyoto themselves were aware of their aged toy engineering, and this might hint at them slowly moving away from it. Of course, this is me just speculating. On the flip side, this set has incredible value for money. At its initial release, this figure cost me about the same amount as Figma Samus, and I've even seen it heavily discounted since then. But I think this is most likely due to the fact that the fans are losing interest in Revoltech Jehuty more than anything else. After all, this is the third use of this particular mold. If you're new to the Zone of the Ender series and are interested in a Jehuty figure, this is probably the one to go with. The base figure is solid and comes with a good amount of accessories. While the Vector Cannon is a hassle to set up, the overall look is definitely worth it. On the other hand, if you prefer the original color scheme or just really want the enemy radar ring, and I wouldn't blame you, then maybe you should look elsewhere. Whichever one you choose to go with, you're guaranteed to be satisfied. Anyways, this has been Type V3. Thanks for watching, and don't think that this is the last we'll see of the Revoltech Jehuty, because a stronger, faster, and crucially more naked version is just on the way.